What is up guys, Stark here, back for day 10 of the 25 Days of Fate, and in today's video I will be doing a character spotlight for Parvati. Now she is a 4-star Lancer that came out a little while ago, and she will go up to level 80, and at level 80 she will have 13,253 HP and 8,127 attack. This will rank her 45th overall in HP and 131st overall in attack. So obviously her attack stat's not that good, but her HP stat is actually really high. Her star absorption is 90, her star generation is 11.8%, and her noble phantasm generation is 1.08 on her attacks and 4% on defense. So honestly speaking, I think she is a pretty good character. She can do a pretty good amount of damage, although she doesn't really have much as far as support goes. So she's kind of just going to be like her own sort of like glass cannon, so to speak. Even though not really a glass cannon, is just an easier way to describe it. So for her skills, her first skill is going to be the Imaginary Around EX, which is makes a lot of sense considering she's the character on Imaginary Around to begin with. What it will do though is it will increase her own quick card effectiveness for 3 turns, as well as increasing her own Noble Phantasm gain for 3 turns. So this is a really good skill, 3 turns for both of the effects on a 5-turn charge time, and you get 30% increases to both of the effects. So that's going to be really nice, not much downtime in between both of the skill effects. So you're going to be able to get a lot out of it and keep it up there pretty consistently. And like I said, they're really good boosts as well. So that's going to be fantastic. And she does have a deck that sort of complements the bonus there. For her second skill, it's going to be the Ash of Kama EX. And this will increase her own attack for 1 turn. This will increase her own defense for 1 turn. This will increase her own critical star drop rate for 1 turn. And this will also increase her own debuff resistance for 1 turn. So there's a bit of a mouthful on this one, but there are a ton of effects, and really there's no big drawbacks to this, other than the fact that it is on a 7-turn charge time, 5-turn at max, which is really nice. But the difference is all the skills last for 1 turn, so you have quite a bit of time to wait in between usages of this skill. But you do get a lot out of it, and the bonuses you get are quite large as well. 50% for your attack and defense for 1 turn, and then 100% increase to your star drop rate and your debuff resistance on, that same skill. So there's a lot packed in there, and there's not a lot of drawback. There's no negative effects. Usually on skills like this, there's some sort of negative drawback to this skill, but not this one. It's just 1 turn burst, so you can stack up all your stuff and just go nuts on that 1 turn. But then after that, she's probably just going to have a large cooldown period where she's not really going to be useful. As for her third skill, this one does have a little bit of a drawback, as I was just talking about, but it's going to be the Blessing of a Goddess A+. Now this one will be able to increase the Noble Phantasm gauge of 1 ally, as well as healing that ally. However, you are going to lose your own Noble Phantasm gauge by 10%. Anytime you have to give up some of your Noble Phantasm gauge in order to do something is a bit of a problem, especially if you don't have the character after Noble Phantasm level 1. So if it's Noble Phantasm level 2, then these sort of negative effects aren't that much of a problem, because you could just get your Noble Phantasm gauge overcharged over to 110% and then use it and you're good. So there's that, but it is only 10%, so it's not really that big of a deal. So you're going to be able to increase the gauge of an ally by 20% and heal them by 3,000 HP on a 5-turn charge time. So that's pretty good, but again, you're going to have to wait quite a few turns in order to use the skill, but it is a good skill nonetheless. As for her passive, she does have 2. The first one is the Magic Resistance A, which will increase her debuff resistance by 20%. And the second one is the Core of the Goddess B, which will apply damage plus 225, as well as increasing her debuff resistance by 22.5%. So overall, taking a look at her skills in general, she's got some really good effects. She can do some really good damage with them. However, even though they're on low cooldowns, the fact that they last for 1 turn means you have to wait quite a while in order to use them. So she lost a few points there, but overall I'm going to give her a 4 out of 5 in her skills. It's just a good kit in my opinion. So now jumping over to her command cards and her Noble Phantasm. For her command card deck, she's going to have 2 quick, 1 arts, 2 buster, and the hit counts are going to be 3 on the quick, 2 on the arts, 3 on the buster, and 5 on her extra attack. So that's going to be really nice because she does have some really good star generation and Noble Phantasm generation, having 11% on her star generation. Not the best, but for a Lancer, that's pretty solid. And then Noble Phantasm generation is going to be 1.8 on the hits. So she's got a decent amount of hits there, especially if you get a full chain with her. So she shouldn't have too much of a hard time generating her Noble Phantasm. The only drawback is the fact that she does have that one arts card, so you're not going to be able to do too many arts chains with her, which obviously will hinder her ability to get her Noble Phantasm charged. But she does have naturally high generation, and she does have her third skill and her first skill to help with that just a little bit. So it's not the end of the world for her to try and generate her Noble Phantasm, but she definitely could use a little bit of support in that category. As for her Noble Phantasm, it will deal damage to all enemies, and it will also have a 60% chance to inflict charm on all enemies for 1 turn. And then the overcharge effect will increase the Noble Phantasm gauge of all of your allies. So obviously you want to overcharge this and get that effect to go off. And it's a pretty sizable increase. It's, 10% to 30% depending on, where you have it charged at. But this is a very good Noble Phantasm in my opinion. It does pretty good damage. It's an AoE skill as well, so you can use her in farming. And this is especially effective in farming if you overcharge it, because then you can just get the gauge filled on your allies. So if you're using her on wave 1 to farm and you get her Noble Phantasm off first, she could charge the other allies' Noble Phantasms and go from there. Now obviously that combination is a little bit tricky to pull off because you do need to have her overcharge quite a bit, and getting that off on the first turn is going to be somewhat difficult. And it doesn't necessarily have to be on the first turn. It can be on the second wave or the third wave, and then if you don't even kill that, then you can charge your Noble Phantasms, not necessarily for farming, but maybe just for like a regular boss fight. There's a lot of different ways you could use her Noble Phantasm, which is always a really good thing. So overall, we're going to go ahead and take a look at her overall damage. I think she can do a pretty sizable amount of damage, albeit just for that 1 turn burst, but sometimes that's all you need, and she is effective in farming as well with an AoE Noble Phantasm. So I will give her 4 stars in her damage. As far as critical ability goes, I'm only going to give her 3 stars. She has decent generation and absorption, and she does have her second skill to increase the drop rate for 1 turn. But outside of that, she has nothing else. She has nothing to increase the crit damage or even her absorption rate. So a slightly better than average, but not too much more than that. As far as her Noble Phantasm goes, it was tough for me, but I am going to give her 4 stars. And this is primarily due to the fact that her charm ability doesn't have a 100% chance to go off. Only being 60% means it's probably going to hit or miss. So it's pretty close to a 50-50 chance. And really, if this had a 100% chance, then this skill would be a lot better. So any enemies that survive the actual damage will just not be able to attack, generally speaking. So that would be really effective, but the chance that you get the charm off on an enemy and then that enemy actually survives, it's not really looking too good for you there. So it's basically just going to do damage, and then yeah, if you have it overcharged, you'll get that increase to your gauge as well, which is nice, but it does have some flaws, so I really can't, give it a 4.5 or a 5-star ranking there. For her survivability, I'm going to give her 3.5 stars. She does have naturally high HP by default, and she also does have her second skill that can increase her own defense by 50%. Now, it is only a 1-turn thing, so that's kind of a drawback. But at the same time, it's a 50% increase, so that's definitely going to go a long way, especially if you know you're going to need to use it and take that hit and hopefully survive. As far as her versatility goes, I'm also going to give her 3.5 stars for that. She does have her third skill, which is able to increase the gauge of an ally and heal them, so that's going to be very helpful. But outside of that, she has no sort of support or anything like that. Well, I guess her Noble Phantasm could technically be considered support, being able to increase the gauge on the overcharge. So that's going to be somewhat good. I guess maybe we can argue that's why it gets 3.5 stars instead of 3 stars. But overall, she's not really going to be helping too much as far as team composition goes. You kind of do need to bring in a little bit of support for her herself instead in order to get her Noble Phantasm off and maybe lower her cooldowns or something, maybe increase her attack. But overall, she's not the worst character to team up with. So that will give her overall ranking a 3.7 out of 5. That does seem a little bit low in my opinion, but at the end of the day, I do like this character, and if I get her, I will be happy and I'll level her up and use her, but I won't actually go out of my way to get her. So I guess that kind of just gives you an idea of where I stand with that character. So that's it, guys. Another character spotlight wrapped up. I hope you did like the video, and if you did, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I have the links below to my Twitter, Twitch, Patreon, and Discord, so feel free to check those out, as long as the 25 Days of Fate Christmas giveaway I'm running on my channel throughout the month of December. So make sure you comment on that video and subscribe to my channel for a chance to win a $100 gift card to either Google Play or iTunes. So now I will leave you here with Parvati's Noble Phantasm, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
感じてください。これが私の天まで届く恋の波動。トリシュールシャクティ